And now I have the pleasure here to be with Jose Maldonado, who's the owner and instructor over at Paso Fino, correct?
Yes.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you, precious mine.
Tell us, what did you think about the forum?
Very informative. Definitely, as you can see, all the competitors are very young in average, but they need to know the history and from 1996 all the way up here. It has actually come a long way as a sport, right? Something seen as a social dance on the street, very cultural, family oriented, through a sport competition worldwide, over 400 something salsa congresses in the world. Um, Talks about maybe being part of a Olympic sports. You know, that would be a major movement for salsa. So, very excited to be part of this event in Atlanta. And Atlanta should be very lucky, right?
Yes.
For having this event here. And the caliber of dancers is just fantastic.
Now, I want to hear from your point of view, because I've known this gentleman probably since about 97 or 98 on the dance floor. We were just both dancers, and now you decided to open 17 years ago, or was it less?
Actually,
12 years ago, we said?
It's 12 years now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me start again. Cut. We'll start again. I'm fortunate enough to know this gentleman now for several years. We met on the dance floor, and then 12 years ago, he decided to create his own company. Tell us what made you decide to go on this venture? Because you quit your job, correct?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually an engineer, right? And you know, you go through life working, and the whole corporate job day to day is kind of tough, right? So you do need an outlet. You do need to go out there, shake it, move. And salsa for me is cultural. So it kind of like bond, and it set me back to my roots, right? And then he's just sucked me back in. He sucked me back in, and I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to do something for the community. And at that time, believe it or not, the story was that I had a teenagers group. Okay, they were all like 14, 15, 16, and having them for around 2 years, and going to congresses and all that, the parents start saying, hey, listen, this is something that you should establish and do something more than just a class here and there or rehearsal here and there. And I started looking out for a space, and we got into it. I did not know what I was getting into. Because you know, being an engineer and running a business is two different things.
Right.
And once I started, I learned. But you know, life happens, and you push through. And 12 years later, we're still there. We were the first Latin dance studio that we do salsa every day, and it's wonderful.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we were also mentioning how do we join all these groups? There's been always, I mean, as you and I know from the past, there's always been this competition between, I remember back in the day, like, do you dance on one? Do you dance on two? Are you Miami style? Are you LA style? Are you New York style? How are we able now throughout the years to kind of join everybody and become all a big family?
I call the YouTube effect. Okay, back in the day, it was all about whatever style: LA style, salsa style, Puerto Rican style, Colombian style, Cuban style, and everybody has a style depending on where you're from, right? So I see that as having different operating systems. Now, thanks to YouTube, if it just everything is on a plateau, it's on a platform. It's just you dance on one or on two. End of story. You know, you break on the one or you break on the two. And, you know, in terms of competition, if you do lift, hey, that's cabaret. Okay, there you go.
Right.
Call it a day. But it all depends also on what is it that you're dancing. For example, bachata. You dance bachata tradicional or sensual,
Right.
right?
Right.
And it's very noticeable. You listen to the music, it's very different, right? So you dance depending on what you hear. So nowadays, I think thanks to YouTube, if you think that you know you're just dancing, oh yeah, I know, I don't need any lessons. All of a sudden, you go to YouTube and you'll be like, wow, I do need some lessons. You know, it's clear. It's very available to anybody. You can do this in Russia. You can do this anywhere in the world, and you can dance salsa just by looking at YouTube and saying, okay, that's what it looked like. I would like that. I'm going to do this.
Right. Tell us, for you, what does this mean that we're having now the World Salsa Championship right here in Atlanta at the Marriott Marquis?
Well, I'm the organizer of the Atlanta Bachata Festival, and that one started in 2009. The main reason for that one was because bachata was barely heard in the club, right? And we started very small, and we said, oh, let's do a festival for bachata. 8 years later, is very big here in Atlanta, right? Is one of the most popular events in the South. So to have something that is usually in Vegas or in Miami to come here to Atlanta is huge. It's huge for the community. It's huge for all the South. Have people from all over the world show up in Atlanta. I think it's phenomenal. I mean, it's a great exposure for our communities, and Atlanta has so much to offer. So it's amazing.
Well, it's fantastic. Also having America's Got Talent is coming, and we have
Yes.
ESPN who's going to show it, and then as well we heard HBO who's also
Right.
interested in
And
coming and
CNN.
seeing it. So and
CNN is right
Yeah,
here, so
CNN
I
right
hope
here.
that they show up and really cover us.
Wonderful. Well,
Yes.
thank you, Jose. Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.